Now I'm losing myself in my own math. Private equity shops, businesses are financial people. They're incredibly smart. Most of them have, Wharton School of Business, Harvard School of Business. I mean, they're really some of the top business minds that exist. And what they do is incredibly intelligent. They go out and raise institutional money for the most part. They go to the school teachers union and say, okay, school teachers of Arkansas, you have all this money, give it to us. We're going to manage it in our fund and we're going to invest it. Fund sizes range from very small would be $25, $50 million up to multi-billions of dollars. And then what they do, they take this money and say they raise, we'll call it a $100 million fund, okay? They charge what's called 2 and 20 is a typical structure for a private equity group. They charge a 2% management fee on that money that they've raised, and it's for every year. So every year they're gonna charge the fund $2 million to manage it, and then the 20% is called a carry, and they'll make 20%, they're gonna go out and invest this money, and all the money that they make with other people's money, they get to keep 20% of, on top of being paid for managing the money. And so what they will do is they'll go out, businesses are valued at multiples, so 5x, 10x, 12x, right? The number that they are valued at is called EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, and amortization. It's essentially an accounting formula for profit. A better way of saying it is profit, but the way you're looking at profit on a cash-on-cash reconciliation may be kind of different with EBITDA because there's, not to get too technical, call it profit. So businesses, say you have a $10 million business and they have a 20% margin, they have a $2 million profit, a $2 million EBITDA. Well, the private equity company might come along and say, hey, we like your company. We're gonna buy your company for a 5 times multiple. So now your company, 5 times your $2 million is $10 million. They come in, they write a $10 million check, they buy the company. A lot of times they might buy, okay, we're gonna value it at $10 million, but we're only gonna buy 80% of the company. We're gonna make you own 20% to still have skin in the game because you're the owner founder. We're gonna own 80% of your business for $8 million. We bought you at a 5x multiple. There's a game in buying and selling businesses called a multiple arbitrage. And so private equity is very good at this. They'll go out and maybe they find this one for 10, and for round numbers, they find 4 more for 10. And they go out and they buy 5 $10 million businesses, and they spend $8 million a piece on them. That's $40 million that they've purchased the majority, 80% of 5 businesses, right? 40% is 80% of a $50 million valuation. So they have stop me and ask a question if you have one. If you have $10 million of these businesses are owned across 5 owners, 80% of the business is owned by the private equity group, bought at a 5 times multiple. Now what they will do is they will put these companies together. They do a lot of things. This is a textbook private equity thing. So how many accounting departments do you need if you own 5 companies that you're turning into 1? How many chief operating officers do you need?
1.
How many, I don't know, whatever, you see the redundancy. They will take that and then they will have 1 CFO, not 5. And then they will have 1 maintenance guy, not 5, whatever it is. And that is called realizing synergies. And so when they realize those synergies, that $2 million of EBITDA, maybe they find an extra $1 million in each one. So they've found $5 million of profit across these 5 platforms, these companies, when they've consolidated them into a platform. Mm-hmm. They've taken what they purchased was $10 million of EBITDA and they created 15. But because they've professionalized the business and now they've consolidated them, how many $10 million businesses are out there compared to how many $50 million businesses? There's 100 times more $10 million businesses than there are $50 million businesses, because businesses either bottleneck, they get stuck, or they die on the way to 50. So a business that's at $50 million, and was using that number, is worth incrementally a lot more. So now they have a business that they have $15 million of profit, EBITDA, because they bought 10, they created 5. But guess what? A business with $15 million of EBITDA is worth a lot more than a business with $2 million of EBITDA. And so now they'll sell this business for 10x. And so now they'll sell it for $150 million. And see what just happened there? Now they created that upswing. So now I'm losing myself in my own math. They were into this for $40 million, and now they're going to get 80% of $150 million, which is 80 plus 40, which is $120 million, right? So they tripled their money, and they'll do that in 2 to 3 years. And so they took that money. They have to return the original 40 that they took from their fund. That was their fund's money. That's the, school teachers from Arkansas's money. They paid back the fund, but they've made $80 million of profit. And so the private equity company now keeps 20% of that, which is $16 million, and gives those returns back to the people that have invested in that fund. And that's what you're asking is, how do you get your money in that damn fund? Right? Finding private wealth managers, Merrill Lynch, UBS, Goldman Sachs, name some others.
Vanguard.
Say it again.
Vanguard,
yeah, there's a million of them out there. Interviewing them, and then asking about them. They have relationships with these private equity groups. The thing with private equity groups is when you're looking at them and vetting them, study their track record. If this is their first fund, not for you. If it's their fourth fund and they had 400% returns on the first 3, I'm in. You guys know what you're doing. Is that helpful? Okay, cool.